Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Small Business Treasury. Today, we're going to be talking about, can you use AI in the Treasury Department within your organization? And that's a very unique question because as we continue to develop in our technology, advancing in AI, advancing ChatGPT, Claude, OpenAI, all these are different LLMs, people are wondering, is it possible to integrate that type of technology within the Treasury Department, within the Treasury function at your organization? Now, we are a few years away from full automation of using AI in the Treasury function, and the reason why is because Treasury is a very, very delicate, old school type of way when you're performing it within your organization. Even multi-billion-dollar organizations who have billions of dollars in assets and revenue, who are willing to invest into the AI technology to make things more efficient, they also have the security side of it, of making sure that there's a human behind the Treasury function to make sure that everything is running properly. Sort of a QA type of scenario, making sure that everything is set up properly. However, even though we are very far away from full automation within Treasury with using AI, it is possible to utilize it in a way where it's helpful throughout your day-to-day. And including myself, I use AI throughout my day-to-day activities to making sure that everything that I'm doing is perfectly aligned, that there's no mistakes. You eliminate human error. You're reducing risk and making sure that everything that you are using the AI chat box, or whether that's Claude, whether that's ChatGPT, whether that's Manus, or any other type of the AI technology that is out there, that you're always making sure that there's a human who's checking the work for the AI. And the reason why is because a lot of the Treasury function is done within the banking portal. So within the banking portal is where the majority of the Treasury function is going to be operated. About 90% of the Treasury Department is done within the banking portal. So using your primary bank, whether that's JP Morgan, Chase, Bank of America, your PNC, Meiji Bank, whatever bank you're using, the majority of the function of the Treasury Department is going to be happening within the banking portal. So it's very difficult to AI to be used whenever it's using a browser. Now, there are potential AIs out there that are able to automate some of the process using a browser by logging in, etc. But that's where the human element comes in, to making sure you're not just allowing the AI to go in there and operate things that a human should be doing, especially things related to money. Okay, so I'll give you an example of how our organization uses AI throughout its operations. And even though we are very far away from full autonomy on the AI function, we still utilize it on a day-to-day basis to make sure that we eliminate human error. All right, so one of the ways that I use AI from a corporate treasury perspective, as a treasury manager managing $100 million in cash, sweeping cash on a weekly basis, making sure I'm doing proper wires, ACH, payables, is that whenever I'm setting up new vendors, and I always want to double check the routing number and bank account information that was provided to me, I typically use AI in a way to cross-check it as a second pair of eyes. That's the main function of how I use AI within my organization. Because a lot of the Treasury function is making sure, did you put in the right information regarding the beneficiary, account number, and routing number? That's a big portion when using Treasury or within the Treasury Department when you're setting up vendors for your organization, right? So in our particular scenario, we use a big bank, and every payable that we issue goes through a wire template from the banking portal. So we have treasury services within our organization that we use wire templates and ACH templates every time we issue payments. That's part of policy. That's part of best practices. It eliminates human error, and especially for recurring transactions, whether that's on a monthly basis or a weekly basis or quarterly basis, right? So we have shareholder distributions that are done yearly. We use wire templates. We have taxes that are due. Sometimes we use ACH templates. We have recurring vendors that we use on a monthly basis. Those are definitely done through ACH templates, right? So one of the ways that AI is used in that scenario is that when we are requested as the Treasury Department to add a new vendor to the banking platform because we are going to be issuing payment on a foregoing future with them, and we need to create a template for a new vendor, and I am provided with all the banking information from our AP team or our accounts receivable team or our tax team or our accounting team. Whoever is providing the information regarding the new vendor setup, they'll provide an official bank letter from the vendor. And with that letter is what we use as a department to make sure that we set up the templates properly within the banking platform. So whenever I'm setting up a new bank, using a new template with the new banking information for this vendor, I'll typically have my analyst prepare the template. And then whenever I have to review and approve and activate the template, I'll go in there and make sure everything is set up properly. I'll look at the bank letter, I'll look at the template. And then in addition to that, if I want to have another set of eyes just to make sure everything is set up properly, I'll go ahead and ask ChatGPT or Claude or some sort of LLM to screenshot both the bank letter and the ACH template, the wire template, whatever it may be, and to cross-check that everything is set up properly. That's just an extra level of precaution, because whenever I am making sure that I have to set up everything properly, there's no room for error, which is also another reason why full autonomy and AI is not fully available for Treasury yet, because AIs make mistakes. AIs make a lot of mistakes, and we all know that. We all use ChatGPT. They provided incorrect information in the past, right? So Treasury is too delicate of an area to be risking a full autonomous AI to go in there, create templates, issue payments, send wires, send ACH, send any type of payments whenever they have full access to your bank account, right? So that is a very, very, very important distinguish as to why AI is not fully integrated into Treasury yet, because of that function. I mean, think about it for yourself. Would you trust, Claude, or would you trust any type of other LLM to go into your banking platform, go in there, issue a payment to one of your vendors while they have full access to no credit, no wire limits, no ACH limits? They have full access to the accounts. They can issue payments by themselves. Yeah, it's very unlikely, right? So just like anybody's very delicate trusting an AI to go in there and issue payment on a personal basis, a corporation is not going to do that as well. They always want to have a second pair of eyes, a decision maker, a human making the final call when it comes to these types of situations. Now, AI can be an assistance, just in the way that I use it myself, right? I go in there, everything is set up. I have my analyst set up the template. I go in there, do a review. And if I want to do an additional review, maybe because I've been looking at wire setups and ACH setups all day, my eyes are exhausted, and I want to get an additional cross-check, then I have the AI look at the bank letter, look at the ACH template, is everything set up properly? Verify that the routing number is correct, that the account number is correct, that the name written on the beneficiary line is correct, the address is correct, and maybe if there's FFC information, if that's written correct. So those are a way that AI can be an assistance, even at multi-billion-dollar corporations, right? But we're not at the level where it's fully autonomous yet. And we may be in the future, but it will take a very advanced level of technology. And even then, I believe that most people, most organizations are going to require an individual to be appointed as someone as head of Treasury, a treasurer, an advanced Treasury professional, to make the final say and approval of anything that AI does for the Treasury Department, for organizations, right? So that's just one example of how AI can be integrated into your organization. At the end of the day, Treasury is too delicate to fully automate that into a function. I know there's a lot of critics online saying, "Oh, well, AI is coming for all the corporate jobs. AI is coming for all the white-collar jobs." And in a way, it is true for a lot of corporate positions and in office work and laptop positions, and maybe in forms of HR, marketing, and other areas. But at the end of the day, there's always going to have to be someone who oversees that AI, right? So Just like you may be able to be more efficient in your HR department or your marketing department or your tax department, your accounting department, there always has to be someone who oversees that. Treasury is definitely not any different. And if anything, you're always going to have multiple people sign off on it. Mostly because at large corporations, we have insurance policies that we have in contracts with the banks. And these insurance policies are there to protect us in the event that we are victims of fraud. And one of the covenants of those contracts is that, is there segregation of duties within your organization? Right? So another way of saying that is segregation of duties is, do you have multiple people in your organization signing off on transactions? Right? Because that is one of the most common ways as to how insurance companies avoid payouts, is because they don't have best practices and good policies written in the organization and followed by the organization. So the banking partner can have an insurance company that says, hey, we'll cover any activity related to fraud over a certain amount, but you have to have best practices in place. And if you do not follow that, the claim is denied. Right. So for that reason, many of the large corporations and growing organizations are always going to have several people sign off on wire transactions, ACH transactions, anything related to treasury, because of the delicacy of dealing with money and capital. Right. So that's just an example of how you can use it in the day-to-day operations, but it's not fully autonomous yet. And one of the ways that you can continue to use it is just use it as a Q&A, as a cross-check. Always making sure that the final decision maker is a human, someone who has experience, someone who's been in it for a long time, and making sure that at the end of the day that AIs make mistakes, humans are able to be there and reduce that mistake and catch those mistakes before anything chaotic happens within the organization. The treasury function is there to protect the capital. It's not there to make sure that we become autonomous, right? Our main job as a treasury team is to make sure that the money that the corporation is earning is protected, right? So even though most corporations, as you continue to grow, you may not have a full treasury team, but you need to have someone on your team who's knowledgeable in the treasury department. And right, that's why these videos are very important, is because we want to bring awareness. I want to bring awareness to small businesses and growing businesses. My family comes from a small business background. And many times growing up, I remember seeing their operations. And now with my corporate experience, there was a lot of places where they were vulnerable, right? They were exposed. And I want to make sure that people who have that type of organization and companies that are growing, that they're learning these things that are important in the corporate world, right? Things that are only implemented after chaos happens or after pain happens or after money's lost, right? So continue to follow here. I post a lot of this content. I have 10 years corporate treasury experience. I love talking about it. I love sharing my knowledge. I love sharing my experience. My job here is to help small business owners understand it so they can do something about it within the organization, so they can protect their capital, protect their company, and they can scale properly. If you want to ask questions regarding a specific situation, put it in the comments, send me a chat, send me a message, and I'll get back to you in a video highlighting that specific situation. If you want to work with me directly so we can discuss a specific situation within your organization and you want some expert advice on that, let me know. We can schedule a call and we can go ahead and work that together. I've been in this business for a very, very long time. There's probably nothing that you've encountered that I haven't seen throughout my career. So I'm very happy to provide any help that I can and be able to offer a solution. Anyways, that's all for today's video, and I'll see you on the next one.